Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you open your eyes in the morning, you are handed a silent gift, one that most people waste without knowing its power. Morning is not just a time of day, it is a declaration of intent. It is the battlefield where your thoughts are shaped, your strength is formed, and your purpose is sharpened. The world is still, the noise is absent, and in that stillness the mind is at its most fertile. That is the hour when successful people rise, not because they have to, but because they understand the law of cause and effect. You cannot build a powerful life with a lazy mind. You cannot command success if you begin your day in chaos. Those who win in life are those who claim the morning for themselves. They use that time to train the mind, the body, and the spirit. They think clearly, plan precisely, and act deliberately. If you study the great builders of wealth, vision, and progress, you will see one thing in common: discipline at dawn. Morning is your moment of control. Before the demands of the world come rushing in, you have the power to decide who you will become that day. You can choose thought over distraction, purpose over passivity, and action over excuses. In that choice lies the foundation of all success. Strength is not given, it is built, and the morning is your workshop. Every time you choose to rise early, every time you commit to focus before the world interrupts you, you forge a little more of that strength. Do not look to miracles, look to your mornings. If you master them, you will master your destiny. Morning is the foundation of mental and physical discipline. There is no success without discipline, and there is no discipline without structure. That structure begins the moment you wake. The early hours of the morning are more than just a passage from sleep to movement. They are a crucible. In those early moments, when the body is reluctant and the mind still whispers of comfort, lies the greatest opportunity for growth. The moment you choose to rise instead of remain, to act instead of delay, you have already begun training the mind to obey purpose rather than impulse. That, ladies and gentlemen, is discipline in its purest form. Mental discipline begins with thought. The morning is the one time of day that is least influenced by the noise of the world. It is in these quiet moments that the mind is clearest. The distractions of the day have not yet arrived. The pressures have not yet pressed in. And so the thoughts you cultivate during this time are powerful. If you begin your day with intention, if you guide your thoughts rather than allow them to drift, you begin shaping your day instead of reacting to it. The individual who learns to direct their mind from the very start of the day possesses the greatest advantage over those who wander aimlessly into their morning. Physical discipline is no different. The body does not naturally seek effort, it seeks ease. When the alarm sounds and the bed is warm, the first battle of the day is fought. To rise when there is no one demanding it, to move when no one is watching, to train the body when the world still sleeps, this is the physical expression of personal power. Those who commit to physical exertion in the morning are not merely exercising muscles, they are commanding themselves. They are building the habit of pushing through resistance, of acting without excuse, of choosing progress over comfort. That habit, built daily, becomes an identity. It is not about how long you train or how much you accomplish in those early hours. What matters is the message you send to yourself. Each morning, when you choose discipline over delay, you are telling your mind and your body that you are in charge. You are saying, I move with purpose, I think with clarity, I act with resolve. And when you repeat that message often enough, it becomes truth. It becomes character. The world will always test you, but the individual who has trained themselves each morning to meet discomfort with willpower is the individual who cannot be easily broken. You see, discipline is not something you turn on and off like a switch. It is a muscle, one that must be trained with consistency, and there is no better time to train it than in the morning. Why? Because that is when the resistance is greatest. That is when excuses are most tempting. That is when there is no crowd to cheer you on, no boss to pressure you, no consequence for skipping your effort. If you can conquer yourself in the morning, you can conquer anything. You have already silenced the voice that says, not now, not today, or just a little longer. That voice loses its power when you deny it at the hour it speaks loudest. The individual who masters their mornings is the one who builds an internal rhythm of achievement. It becomes natural to act with discipline because discipline is now a part of how they begin each day. They no longer need motivation because they have built momentum. Motivation fades, momentum endures. And momentum is built in the small choices that are made over and over again, especially when it would be easier not to. You will find that when you claim your morning, you begin to feel a sense of control. That control spills over into every area of your life. You no longer arrive at tasks scattered and reactive. You bring focus because you've already sharpened your mind. You no longer approach challenges weak and unsure. You carry strength because you've already pushed yourself through resistance. Morning discipline creates a ripple effect that influences how you speak, how you walk, how you work, and how you lead. It becomes the invisible armor you wear throughout the day. But understand this, the strength you seek is not built in bursts of inspiration. It is built in repeated, disciplined acts, and the most reliable time to perform those acts is in the morning. No matter who you are or where you come from, the morning is yours. It doesn't belong to anyone else. It is a window of time that is pure, undisturbed by the world's demands. Use it wisely, and you shape not just your day, but your life. Waste it, and you hand over your power before you've even begun. There will be days when it is difficult, days when sleep calls louder than duty, days when progress feels invisible, but the morning is not about feeling, it is about choosing to stand up when you could lie down, choosing to begin even when the end is far off, choosing to build strength through repetition rather than wait for inspiration to arrive. Those who succeed do not wait to feel ready. They rise because they have trained themselves to rise. Mental and physical discipline are not gifts. They are forged in early hours, in silent choices, in acts unseen. And though the rewards may not be immediate, they are always real. The person who conquers the morning sets a tone of command for the rest of the day. They are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, because they have already proven to themselves that they are capable of directing their own course. So when the sun rises, do not rise passively. Rise with power. Use the morning not as a transition, but as a training ground. Let your first thoughts be ones of purpose. Let your first actions be ones of strength. Let the first hour of your day reflect the future you intend to create. Because in those first moments lies your first victory. And every day you claim that victory, you grow stronger, not just in body, not just in mind, but in character. And it is character, above all, that separates those who wish from those who achieve. How you begin your day is not a casual choice. It is a declaration. Every morning you stand at a crossroad between progress and stagnation. The first hour of your day holds more weight than most people realize. It is in that beginning where your direction is set, and it is in that direction where your destiny takes form. Your habits, your mindset, your energy, all of them are shaped in that crucial opening frame of your day. It is not some grand event that defines your future. It is what you do when no one is watching, when the world is still quiet, and when your mind is most honest with itself. Each day you are given a window of clarity. In that clarity, you have the opportunity to make decisions that align with your purpose or pull you away from it. When you reach for your phone before you reach for your thoughts, when you react before you reflect, you are allowing the outside world to shape your path. But when you claim the first part of your day for yourself, for your thinking, your goals, your principles, you are telling life, I lead, I do not follow. And this one difference, subtle as it may seem, is the dividing line between those who drift and those who build. Every person you admire, every legacy that inspires, was crafted by someone who understood the value of a strong beginning. Whether it was in business, in leadership, or in personal power, they did not leave their days to chance. They started with intention. They knew that the tone of the morning often becomes the tempo of the entire day. If you begin in chaos, you invite disorder. If you begin in calm clarity, you are more likely to move through your hours with command and direction. Success does not respond to wishes. It responds to preparation. and that preparation begins long before opportunity arrives. It begins in the way you wake up. It begins in the decisions you make while the rest of the world is still sleeping. Do you begin your day with discipline, or do you surrender it to habit? Do you begin with reflection or reaction? Each of these choices sends a signal to your subconscious. That signal either strengthens yourself, leadership, or weakens it. You may not see the effects immediately, but rest assured they are compounding day by day, choice by choice. The morning is not just a time to get up. It is a time to get ahead. When you choose to begin your day with purpose, you start operating from a position of strength. You're not catching up, you're leading. You're not reacting to what others want from you. You're pursuing what you've already decided is valuable. That power, small in the moment, accumulates, and over time it becomes the very difference between a life designed by you and a life dictated by chance. The truth is, the average person gives away their morning. They roll into their day half asleep, dragging their mind behind their body. They scroll, they delay, they wait to feel inspired. But those who shape their destiny don't wait for inspiration. They create it. They get up not because they feel like it, but because they have trained themselves to act in service of their vision. And that vision grows clearer every time they prove, through action, that their life is worth showing up for, even in the silence of the morning. You see, destiny is not built on big decisions alone. It is built on the small, consistent decisions you make when no one is applauding, when there is no reward but the pride of discipline, and that's what the morning gives you, a blank page, an open arena where you can either rise or retreat. And when you choose to rise, day after day, you begin to forge something powerful, a self-image that says, I am the kind of person who leads my life. That identity becomes unshakable. Let others wait until the day pushes them forward. Let others complain about time and circumstance, but you, if you truly understand the power of beginnings, will see the morning for what it is, your private ground for transformation. You are not rushed, you are not distracted, and you are not yet pulled by the demands of the world. In that space, you are free to think, to plan, to recommit to your vision. And when you fill that space with clarity and effort, you step into the rest of the day with a quiet force that others can feel, even if they don't understand where it comes from. Because there is a difference between the one who walks into the day prepared and the one who stumbles into it. The prepared individual has already won before the world starts moving. They have already decided who they are and what they intend to create. They've already met their first resistance and overcome it. That inner victory gives them a different posture, a different presence, and a different level of focus. They are not hoping for things to happen. They are making things happen. Do not underestimate what happens in that first hour. The decisions you make when the sun first rises echo throughout your day. Will you feed your mind with wisdom or with noise? Will you move your body to generate energy, or will you remain still and passive? Will you write, reflect, or visualize the future you are building? Or will you wait for life to hand you direction? These choices matter, not because they are grand, but because they are repeated, and repetition is the architect of identity. There is a deep psychological truth at play here. When you act with purpose early in the day, you send a message to yourself that says, my goals matter, my future matters, I am not waiting for the world to define me. That message becomes belief, and belief becomes behavior. Before long, you are not just performing better, you are becoming better, not because life changed, but because you changed how you began. Destiny is not a matter of luck, it is not found, it is forged. And the forge is hottest when the day is young. If you learn to step into that heat, to shape yourself with deliberate effort, to act before you feel like it, you begin to understand what separates the exceptional from the average. The exceptional do not rely on the world to move them. They move the world because they have already moved themselves. So begin your day as if your future depends on it, because it does. Begin it as a leader, as a builder, as a person of great purpose. You are not rising for today alone. You are rising for every day that follows. You are planting seeds in the quiet that will bear fruit in the storm. And when the world watches you stand strong, they will not see the hours you spent alone at dawn, but you will know. You will know that destiny was shaped, not in noise, not in praise, but in those quiet hours when you chose to begin with power. Success does not begin with applause. It begins in silence. It begins before the world notices, before the day takes shape, and before anyone else is watching. The people who move the world, the ones who rise to extraordinary heights, do not stumble upon their strength by accident. They train for it, they prepare for it, and most importantly, they claim their mornings long before the rest of the world opens its eyes. That time, early, quiet, uninterrupted, is not just a luxury for the successful, it is one of their greatest tools. Mastery over the morning is mastery over the self, and those who rise early understand this truth more deeply than most. They understand that the hours before sunrise hold the highest value, not because there's something magical about the sun itself, but because those early hours offer a rare and precious kind of freedom, freedom from noise, from distraction, from obligation. In that stillness there is clarity, and in that clarity the successful build themselves, day by day, task by task, thought by thought. While the average individual sleeps through opportunity, the successful are wide awake, sharpening their mind and strengthening their discipline. They know the world becomes louder with each passing hour, demands increase, noise grows, distraction multiplies, so they choose to act when the world is still quiet, when they can hear their own thoughts, when they can make deliberate choices without interference. That deliberate use of time is not an accident. It is a cornerstone of their success. You see, success requires structure, and structure begins with routine. Not just any routine, but one that is chosen with intention and repeated with discipline. Those who master their mornings create a rhythm of excellence that spills into everything they do. They do not wait for inspiration. They do not rely on motivation. They rely on systems that begin the moment they open their eyes. Look closely at the habits of high achievers. They do not hit the snooze button. They do not roll out of bed unsure of their next move. They begin with purpose. They rise early, not to prove something to others, but to anchor themselves in the vision they hold. They read, they write, they exercise, they plan, they reflect, all before the world places its demands upon them. And because they do these things first, they are not easily swayed by chaos. They do not get pulled into distractions as quickly. They are already grounded when others are still scrambling to find their footing. This mastery of the morning gives them a calm kind of power. It is not loud, but it is unmistakable. It is the power of preparation. When others are reactive, they are proactive. When others are surprised by problems, they are already working on solutions. When others are drained by the afternoon, they are still moving with purpose, because they began with momentum. And momentum, once built, carries with it an energy that outlasts the temporary. Understand that success is not about chance. It is about choice, and one of the most powerful choices you can make is to own the first hours of your day. Those hours are pure. They are unclaimed by the world, and how you use them determines the tone and trajectory of everything that follows. The successful know this. That is why they do not waste their mornings. They do not spend those hours reacting to messages or scrolling through meaningless noise. They spend them preparing their mind, directing their thoughts, aligning themselves with the goals that truly matter. There is something sacred about rising before the world wakes. In that quiet, you are alone with your thoughts, your intentions, your truth. There is no one to impress, no spotlight to stand under, no performance to deliver. It is you, your will, and the discipline you choose to exercise, and what you do in those moments is a mirror of what you will do when the pressure is on. Because if you can lead yourself when no one is watching, you will be able to lead others when the world is watching. People often ask what separates the top from the rest. It is not always talent. It is not always resources. Often it is consistency. And that consistency begins each morning, while most are still dreaming, the successful are doing. They are not trying to be perfect. They are trying to be present, present in their efforts, present in their priorities, present in the work that compounds over time. And because they show up with focus and discipline in the morning, they carry those qualities into every room they walk into, every decision they make, and every goal they pursue. Success requires mental toughness. And mental toughness is not born out of convenience. It is born out of discomfort. The successful train themselves to do the hard things first, and the morning is where that training happens. Waking early when the bed is warm and comfort whispers, "Stay," is an act of will. Choosing to push the body to train the mind to face the day head on, it sharpens resilience. It teaches the self that comfort is not the goal, growth is, and growth never happens without resistance. Mastering your morning is not about being busy. It is about being intentional. Even 1 hour used with discipline and focus can produce more value than an entire day of scattered effort. The successful know that they cannot control everything the day brings, but they can control how they start it. And by mastering the start, they increase their chances of mastering the rest. They plan, they journal, they visualize, not because it is trendy, but because it works. When you put your thoughts on paper before the noise of the day enters, you gain clarity. When you review your goals daily, you keep your vision alive. When you move your body early, you generate energy. These are not habits of the lucky. These are tools of the deliberate. These are choices made by individuals who understand that their outcomes are shaped by what they repeatedly do. And as the world slowly wakes and begins to move, the successful are already in motion. They do not start behind. They start ahead. They are not wondering what to do. They already know. They do not waste time catching up. They use time to build forward. That advantage compounds not because they do more, but because they start better. You can adopt this way of life. You can claim the morning as your time of power, but it requires discipline. It requires you to make a decision that comfort will not be your compass. That you will rise with purpose even when no one is watching. That you will begin before you are ready and show up before the world expects you to. Because those who master their mornings do not do it for praise. They do it for power. Quiet power, disciplined power, the kind of power that builds legacies not through noise, but through consistent effort. The world may not see what happens in your early hours, but it will feel the results. And in time they will call it success, but you will know. It was simply the result of mastering the morning long before the world ever opened its eyes. The first battle of the day is not against the world. It is against yourself. It is against the voice that whispers, "Stay in bed." It is against the impulse to drift, to delay, to give in to the ease of doing nothing. And that battle takes place before the sun rises, when the world is silent and no one is looking. Discipline at dawn is not just a habit. It is a declaration. It is a message to the self and to the universe. I will not be controlled by weakness. I will command my time. I will lead my day. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build like a muscle through repetition and resistance. And the most effective time to train that discipline is in the early hours when everything in you seeks comfort. When you choose discipline over ease in those first minutes, you create a psychological advantage that carries through every hour that follows. You prove to yourself, before anyone else, that you are in control of your mind, your body, and your direction. People often misunderstand dominance. They associate it with power over others, but the highest form of dominance is power over self. It is the ability to govern your actions regardless of how you feel, to move forward when every part of you seeks retreat, to execute your plan not because you are motivated, but because you have made a promise to yourself, and you intend to keep it. That kind of self-command begins not in the rush of the afternoon, but in the quiet trials of the morning. When you rise early and face your resistance head on, you set the tone for the entire day. You are no longer at the mercy of emotions, circumstances, or convenience. You've already conquered your first mountain. And once that mountain is behind you, the smaller hills of the day seem less daunting. This is the momentum of discipline. It builds quickly, it fuels performance, and it strengthens your confidence, not by accident, but by deliberate design. Discipline at dawn is the great equalizer. You may not control your background, your resources, or your starting point, but you can always control how you begin your day. No one can stop you from rising early and working on your craft. No one can prevent you from building your body, sharpening your mind, and aligning yourself with your deepest values before the noise begins. These early hours are free of excuses, and those who seize them become unstoppable, not because they are better, but because they are consistent. Success at its core is a reflection of what you do when it's hard to do it, and there is no moment harder or more powerful than the decision to act with discipline when comfort is within reach. That choice defines you. That choice separates the average from the exceptional, because the average waits to feel ready. The exceptional act regardless, and in that action they build the very strength that others wait for. The reason discipline at dawn leads to dominance is because it creates certainty. When you rise early and meet your goals before others have even begun their day, you remove doubt. You move into your responsibilities not with fear or hesitation, but with clarity and command. You are not wondering if you'll make progress. You've already made it. You're not hoping for momentum. You've already built it. That internal certainty becomes external performance. It shows up in how you speak, how you lead, and how you handle stress. The disciplined individual does not fear chaos. They have already faced themselves in the most honest moment of the day, when there was no obligation, no audience, and no consequence except the one they placed on themselves. And when you win that private battle repeatedly, it creates an identity of someone who does what needs to be done, no matter what. That identity becomes a foundation that no external circumstance can shake. Let others rely on willpower, let others chase motivation. The one who dominates the day is the one who removes emotion from decision, who wakes not because they feel like it, but because they've decided to lead their life on principle, not preference. That is the true essence of power, not being subject to moods or moments, but having a fixed aim that no excuse can penetrate. Discipline at dawn is about more than routine. It's about integrity. It's about keeping promises to yourself when no one else will know if you break them. That self-integrity bleeds into every other area of life. When you're used to keeping your word in the dark, you won't fold under pressure in the light. When you're used to showing up in silence, you'll be unshakable when it's loud. The world is full of people waiting for the perfect time. They wait for the energy, for the schedule to open up, for the stars to align. But those who dominate their space do not wait. They wake. They wake early, and they act. They do not need perfection. They need only discipline, because discipline is not about doing everything right. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it's early, even when no one is watching. The hours before dawn are your proving ground, not for others, but for yourself. They test your hunger, they reveal your priorities, they separate talk from truth. You can say you want to win, you can say you want to lead. But are you willing to rise when comfort says no? Are you willing to push your body, to organize your thoughts, to study your mission when the world is still asleep? If the answer is yes, if you prove it with action, then the day bends in your favor. Dominance is not the product of one grand move. It is the reward for hundreds of private victories, victories that happen in the dark, victories that happen in silence, victories that are built one rep, one page, one task at a time, before the clock even reaches 7 a.m. And those victories compound. They do not shout, but they echo. They show up in how you carry yourself, in the confidence that comes from self-respect, in the clarity that comes from consistency. This is how the day is won, before it even begins. Not with luck, not with brilliance, but with discipline. The kind of discipline that is built at dawn, tested through repetition, and proven by results. If you want to lead, if you want to succeed, if you want to dominate in your space, start by mastering your morning. Start by doing what most won't. Start by rising before the world does and acting like your future depends on it, because it does. And if you do this day after day, you will reach a point where discipline is no longer a decision, it's who you are. You won't need to fight with yourself every morning. You will simply rise because rising is what you do. You will execute because execution is who you are, and the world will feel your presence, not because you announced it, but because you earned it. Not because you demanded attention, but because your actions made you undeniable. Every day delivers its share of challenge. Every life, no matter how carefully designed, encounters moments of pressure, moments of difficulty, and moments when the ground beneath you begins to shake. But what separates those who bend from those who break isn't merely talent or intelligence, it's preparation, and the greatest preparation for adversity happens before it arrives. It happens in the morning. It happens in the silence before the noise, in the discipline before the demand, and in the calm before the chaos. You do not rise early for applause. You rise because you understand this simple truth. Adversity does not send a warning. It shows up unannounced, and when it does not care how you feel. It only respects how prepared you are. That preparation is not built in the moment of the storm. It is built in the mornings, day after day, when you choose to lead yourself before the world tries to lead you. The way you start your morning is not just a routine, it is a rehearsal. It is your daily training for the challenges that haven't yet arrived. When you wake early, when you commit yourself to focused thought, physical movement, and intentional planning, you are building mental armor. You are developing the kind of inner strength that does not crumble at the first sign of stress. You are becoming the kind of person who faces difficulty with calm resolve, not panic. Adversity reveals the foundation of your character, and the strength of that foundation is laid in the first hours of the day. You do not build discipline, resilience, or courage in the heat of the moment. You build it when no one is watching, when the alarm goes off and you answer it, when you could roll over and choose comfort, but instead choose purpose. Every time you win that small battle, you become more equipped to face the bigger ones. Think of a soldier. He does not train in the middle of battle. He trains in the early hours when the world is still. He sharpens his body and focuses his mind long before he is called into the fight. Why? Because once the fight begins, there is no time to prepare. There is only time to respond. The same is true for you. Your mornings are your training ground. If you waste them, you enter the day unarmed. But if you use them wisely, you move through adversity with strength and clarity. The way you carry yourself through the morning influences every decision that follows. When you start your day from a place of control, of intention, of discipline, you don't simply react to problems, you respond to them. There's a difference. Reaction is emotional, it's impulsive, it's what happens when you're caught off guard. Response is measured, it's intentional, and it's only possible when your mind has been prepared. A chaotic morning leads to a scattered mind. A disciplined morning leads to a focused one, and in times of adversity, that focus is your advantage. Most people fall apart not because the problem is too great, but because their internal state is too weak. They never took the time to build emotional discipline. They never took the time to build mental clarity. They never made the decision to lead themselves before life tried to lead them. When you win the morning, you build momentum, and momentum matters, because when adversity hits, most people are stopped dead in their tracks. But not you. If you've already trained your mind to begin the day with forward motion, that motion will carry you even through resistance. You will stumble, yes, but you will keep moving, and in the end, it is not perfection that wins, it is persistence. You may not control the adversity, but you always control your response. That response is a reflection of your conditioning, and your conditioning is shaped by your habits, especially the habits you keep when no one is watching. The morning is your greatest opportunity to take control of your day before anything else tries to. It is where you fortify your thinking, strengthen your will, and direct your energy. Understand this. Adversity will test your habits, not your hopes. You can hope for peace, for progress, for smooth sailing, but hope without preparation is weakness, and preparation begins the moment you wake. It begins with what you allow into your mind. Do you start your day with purpose or with distraction? Do you begin with clarity or confusion? Do you build energy or give it away to meaningless noise? The answers to those questions predict how you will handle pressure, because adversity magnifies whatever is already present. If you are unfocused, it will scatter you. If you are lazy, it will paralyze you. If you are disciplined, it will challenge you, but it will not defeat you, and that discipline begins each morning, not with a grand gesture, but with simple, repeated acts of commitment to your own growth. Adversity favors the prepared, and preparation is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of habit. Morning is the only part of your day that you fully control. Before the calls, before the meetings, before the demands of the world, you are in charge. What you do with that time determines how you will handle the unexpected, because in those early hours you decide whether to operate from strength or surrender to weakness. Many people believe that strength is loud, that it announces itself, but the strongest individuals are often quiet. They are not looking for attention. They are looking for alignment, and they find it in the discipline of their mornings. They are not thrown off by adversity because they've already rehearsed it. Not by experiencing the crisis, but by mastering the conditions of their own internal state. When life throws you into the fire, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of training. That level is either strong or weak. It is either focused or scattered. It is either built or neglected, and the difference between the two begins when your alarm goes off. Will you choose the path of least resistance, or will you train for the day before the battle even begins? You cannot wait for adversity to be strong. You must build strength ahead of time, and the best time to build it is when the world is still quiet. That stillness is not empty. It is full of opportunity. In those early hours, you get to lead your mind before the world tries to shape it. You get to choose your intention before circumstance chooses it for you. You get to build strength, clarity, and conviction, so that when the storm arrives, you are not just standing, you are moving forward. The great ones don't fear adversity. They expect it, and they prepare for it every morning through discipline, through consistency, through commitment to their own growth. They start their day as if it matters, because they know it does. Every morning is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming, and when life gets hard, and it will, you will not crumble, you will not retreat, you will stand firm, because you trained for this. You trained when no one was watching. You trained when it was hard. You trained when it was early, and because of that, you will not be defined by adversity. You will define yourself in the face of it. That is the power of the morning. That is the strength you build when the world is still asleep. That is the difference between those who endure and those who escape, because how you start your morning doesn't just set the tone for your day, it sets the foundation for your life